Previously on building Benny's movie park. I'm going to begin right here with just a very simply shaped building. Okay, starting to look like something. This is just adding a bunch of junk and unnecessary detail to make it look better than it actually is. But overall, I think this is looking really good. This turned out absolutely amazing. This is really starting to get some shape, guys. It's not really that coherent yet, but just wait for it. And gentlemen, welcome back to this brand new episode of building Benny's movie park in Planet Coaster. Welcome back to, again, the pirate area. Today we're going to build some very fun stuff, including a spinning kids coaster. But before that, great news. As you can tell, the train problem has been fixed. Apparently, somewhere here in settings, you can just change the collisions over here. I just turned all of these off, and now I could just easily place that part of the station we still needed. So it wasn't the game, I was just being an idiot. But it's fixed now, so now we have a bunch of very long trains. Much better. This queue hasn't been full for a long time, so that is very good. Then now, without any further ado, let's get straight to it. As you know, every time we have to make a coaster, we need to start with the coaster and then everything around it. That way it is much easier to build. Now, I did choose between one of these two. This one, however, I figured looks a bit goofy, especially with the pirate theme. It looks especially wonky when it's going over the track. This is just a very big little cart. So I figured this one is a bit more subtle, a bit cooler. You can face two sides, which is fun. So let's use this one to build a fun little kids coaster. And then the question begins. Where in the bloody hell are we going to put this? First, actually, what I'm going to do is add a few walls to the station already so we know how high we can build it. I want this to be about 2 layers high, I think. So this way we can easily tell where that is. I will keep it incredibly simple for right now. Just something like this, so that now we can beautifully align all of this with the path. Here you go. So that is supposed to be the height. But then now the question remains, where is the station going to go? We shouldn't put it here, I think. On the other side of the train track is probably gonna be the Star Wars area, so I don't want to go in there too much. Actually, maybe this wasn't even such a bad place at all. In fact, say we put the entrance somewhere here, doesn't really matter, and then the exit over here, and then we'll put another building. This is just a shape, by the way. Ignore all the ugly textures. I have no idea what specifically this is gonna look like, but this is just for the basic vibe. The exit path could go along this little piece of path. And wow, is this one of those trust the process moments again? This looks like absolute trash. Trust me, I actually have an idea for once. So I hope this will work in the end. Point is, if you get out, you go over here into a little building, go around to go down, and then this is where there's a little merch shop, like a little souvenir shop, based, of course, on the ride you just came out of. So that seems nice. What I also want to put in place already is a giant bridge that is going to come from the Harry Potter area all the way to the pirate area. Let's have a look where exactly that's going to go. I think actually right there. Just a big straight bridge. Here you go. It's not going to connect to the path yet. It's actually going to go a bit further. And then maybe like this, we can connect it to what we already have. I just realized this is really not a problem for right now. So let's continue to things that matter, which is the coaster. We're gonna have to make a layout over here that goes around this kind of little area, which means it has to be very compact. Here's what I want to try at the beginning. You're gonna go down just a little bit, and then over here you slowly make your way to the chain lift. This does not look very good, but we'll see in just a sec. And then this is where the chain lift would begin. Now, I have absolutely no idea if this is any good, because already I don't love these two being so close together. Yeah, actually, no, I don't like this. Let me just try something else here. Here you go. This is definitely a lot better. So you already start spinning just a little bit, and then you go over here up the chain lift. I do like that. It's not super smooth or special. It's very plain, really, if you think about it. But as you can see, it's decent enough. Quick turn into the chain lift. Pretty good. Now, actually, before making the rest of the track, I first want to make sure there's enough room over here to make it back to the station. There you go, just like this. Because otherwise, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to, you know, make it fit. So this will then lock and center the car again, and after that we're probably gonna need a block brake. Here you go, and then this is where it arrives. So just to make sure we don't use this space, I already put this in. Beautiful. Let's have a look. Then up here, we're going to begin the layout. We have to remember though, this is very much a kids coaster, so it can't be too crazy. Let's start with a very basic and very annoying spinning coaster turns like this. You of course have to make the cars spin as much as possible at the beginning. I did say I didn't want to go too far behind the train track, but I'm gonna have to at this point. There just isn't all that much room to go fast otherwise. Okay, so I tried something here, and it can be either very cool or very, very whack. I am going to wing it this time because I first want to kind of get a feel of the layout, what's possible. And then afterwards I can actually make it look nice and stuff. But first I just need to know if this is gonna look nice in general. I am missing some sort of big drop. So let's add that over here, I suppose. Because in general, it would be nice if some part of this coaster also goes over the water. Would be nice for a pirate area. This is going to take a bit longer than I thought. I think I have something decent. I just don't know how to finish it. So I'll be right back with you to hopefully show you what I've built successfully. I'll be right back.
6.5 hours later.
Ladies and gentlemen, I somehow made it work. It is a pretty nice, neat little layout. It isn't super smooth or super realistic, but I think it's decent enough. Right now, I'm going to include the POV without spinning, and then at the end of the video, I'll show you the one with spinning. The spinning is cool, but you don't really see everything properly. So first, just the basic track straight ahead. Here you go. I really like it, but especially because I know what all of this could look like, all the detailing, all the buildings, all the interior parts. That's always what I like doing the most. It's what I'm good at. So it has some pretty fun parts, like it going through the station at the end. In general, the spinning, of course, is what makes this a lot more fun than what it looks like now. I also really like this part, which is pretty realistic for this coaster type. And especially on these corners, it spins pretty fast sometimes. It depends on the people, of course. As you can tell, that's really quite fun. So yes, it runs with 4 trains. Yeah, 4 trains at the same time, which is decent. And then now I think it's time to get into the decorating, including many, many buildings. So let's get straight to it. So how I'm gonna do this is first I'll put all the buildings in place, the outlines of the buildings, and then making them look nice comes later. So first, I think right here is a nice place for a circular building just around this piece of track. With a little bit of luck, that could actually look super, super satisfying. Although it does look a little bit too bulky, I think, for this spot. Actually, wait a minute. I've got a different idea. This is going to be, as always, a giant puzzle because we have a bunch of track overlapping, and that's going to make it a lot more difficult than it actually needed to be. But the upside is, if it works, it could look absolutely incredible. This whole building around here has to be a lot higher, that is for sure. We have to leave plenty of openings for the track to go through without bumping into anything. This right here could be potentially like a big bell tower. I feel like that's a pretty piratey element as well. Really just freestyling this right now. We can add a bunch of windows to this, I hope, because I don't see how else this is ever going to look nice. Most important for now, however, is of course making sure the coaster can go inside by adding all sorts of holes and windows to it. Same thing over here. There you go. That should fit perfectly. Yes. Same thing right here. Oh, that's beautiful, yeah. See, this is starting to get some shape. I want to make this whole part a little bit higher because I feel like that would look pretty good in the end. From here, you want to have some pretty high buildings in the center there. And we can also make this part a little bit higher because that's where the coaster goes straight through. So just all these walls nice and high. And look how satisfying this is. It's almost like that's made for it. Then here, this I definitely want to be some sort of restaurant or food stall at least. So just to make sure I don't forget, let me just put in some of these bad boys. Same goes for this part right here. We can add some sort of interior to that too. And right here, maybe something like this, where since this is going to be a restaurant, you can sit underneath these with like a thing. I don't know what it's called, but you get what I mean. Then there is one very important thing that I forgot so far, and that is a path to the Star Wars area. I did already decide that this will be the entrance, but we do need a path leading to that. I'll start at the entrance itself with the stamp tool. That goes somewhere here, it doesn't really matter yet. But then this is where we are going to have to build a path that leads to this. I'm thinking we just go straight here and then a little turn to that. Is a bit plain and boring, but I think it just makes sense, right? So with that in place, I can now add even more buildings. I've also just decided that this has to be the other texture instead. The pirate ones, this right here, a lot better because we already have quite a bit of these pale kind of walls in here. Here you go. That is looking a lot nicer already. Now, before anything else today, before this gets any more repetitive than it already is, let's work on this big building right now. First off, I believe we need a roof pretty desperately, so let's grab these market roofs once again and see what we can do here. I think maybe something like this at first. Then we need these corner pieces to fill up all the gaps nicely. Immediately looks 10 times better. It's crazy. On the roof of the market type buildings, I'm going to use some wood. And if you kind of intertwine them together, it gives this really cool plank texture. It's pretty sweet. And then around the edges, I'll put this. I still don't know what they're called, and let's be real, I probably never will because I'm still too lazy to actually look it up, but let's just slap these on. Here you go, just like this, an entire row of them. And I'm just gonna do the entire building right now because then it's done. Seems nice. There it is. And I'll also make sure immediately that this goes all the way to the end here. And just like that, we sort of get the global additions finished. I also thought, why not just continue with these roofs on here? And that works fine. Yes, gotta put the roof trims on as well. Guys, I mean, it is crazy how fast this can change. Turning into something as like this, and then a few roofs and some wood, it immediately looks so much better. That reminds me, I also wanted to add a different kind of style building right over here, which is going to be mainly built out of wood again. I feel like what rocks used to be in Theme Park Tycoon 2, wooden structures are the same thing in Planet Coaster. I just can't stop doing them, building them, mainly because of just how satisfying it is and how easy and how fun. With, of course, an output that looks really quite lovely. And not to forget, all these ropes are also super important for that piratey look. I mean, basically, I'm just doing the same thing as those. Again, let's be real, it just looks so freaking nice. Look at this. And for once, the Western elements could help out here. And then comes the part where we add the doors and windows. Let's just put a door up here. Nice and simple. Here you go. Let's put the poles in place for that balcony. And this time, let's go with ropes instead of wood for the horizontal beams, because I feel like that's just a bit nicer for variety. Here you go. That looks pretty nice indeed. Yes, very sea-ish. Now, all of this wooden stuff, the style has to be copied to the other buildings as well, just like this, which we've already done really over there. So again, it's nothing new, but it does make a ton of difference. Only downside is it's not very fun to watch because it's just me doing the same thing over and over. But unfortunately, it needs to be done, so here we are. And this in particular needs to be a kind of window frame, so to speak. Kind of like this. Is it still gonna fit? I think so. This is gonna be a lot of work though. I just realized. I already knew, but like now I'm actually seeing how much work it's gonna be. It is going to look absolutely majestic though, I hope. I think. So yes, let's continue. I just realized something. What if in here we instead put just like a tunnel like this? Because that would lead all the way to the other side. Just a little fun shortcut, I guess. We could even make it... Wait, actually? Yes. Okay, so there's going to be another arch over here and over there. In fact, why don't we just grab one of these big ones? I'm going to already put some path over here to make sure that attaches. I keep doing this. That path goes all the way through this tunnel. And then here we just go the same way. Only thing is, these have to be attached with... Oh, that works. Well, same thing over here then. And all of this really is a problem for much later. This side, however, we should probably close up. Wait, we can't. We'll just do this for now. There you go. The actual interior we'll do later on. I will add an arch here though, just so it's nice and consistent. Perfect. Off screen, by the way, just now I also did some stuff. For example, these edges. This looks a bit nicer now. Just added some of these on top of them, along with a path up here, which hopefully we can later add a restaurant to, or at least some sort of food stall here. And this path then leads up there somehow. I'm not sure how, we'll see. Yeah, some detail under here as well. And that is pretty much all I did. And of course, one of these, because I feel like this is the type of stuff we just have to spread all around to make it look more alive and like it's being worked on somehow. I do think, since this is way too narrow for a path anyway, we should probably close this up. Just a very simple wall like this. We'll add some of the same details on it as well to make sure it looks like it's the same kind of building. There you go. Here. So on the back, it is also closed up. Seems better. And of course, it is these spots that lend themselves beautifully for scenery. Look, and this could even be like a cover-up for the sport. Very nice. That helps a lot. Then next, this I think also seems a great spot for some more wooden structures. And I hate to repeat myself. No, wait. No, I don't. Again, a ton of these wooden elements. Actually, I think this might be a pretty large building. And all the exact same small details again. What a boring video. Okay, so this seems about to be the wooden base structure. I think this once we can also just use the actual wall pieces that are planks. Doesn't always need to be those custom 3D ones. And then I reckon here we put a doorway for some variety. And then on the front over here, to add some definition to the whole thing, I will add a slightly thicker part. And I'm going to pop on some of these fancy windows. Definitely one of my favorites. That just look very, very good. And this is the exact type of building we can and should add this kind of thing to. As a bit of interaction with the coaster, kind of. That, ooh. Yes. Also, there is a pirate ship wheel, which I also haven't used yet. I think that could be pretty cool. Maybe over here, or more subtly inside of this building. There you go. I mean, there really is so much extra bullshit we can add. It is crazy. I also really like the netted glass float lanterns, whatever that is supposed to be. So let's include those as well. There you go. And I'm now seeing I forgot to add a roof. We can just do the same thing. It looks good. That's the problem. I know it's the same thing again, but it just works. Look at that. We'll also smack a chimney on top for some extra detail. Some more stuff in here you can see when you're sitting inside the coaster. And of course, the occasional AC unit, even though this doesn't have interior, but it's, you know, realism. And when I say much junk, I really do mean it. We need a bunch of junk. Thankfully, this game makes it very, very easy for us to do that because there is a lot of junk. Almost forgot, we also have what is supposed to be called a marketplace decoration. It's like a piece of cloth. This also looks really quite nice. And now that we're busy here anyway, let me just put in a stall over in this hole. I'm thinking just drinks, because downstairs is going to be food, milkshakes or something. Seems cool. Let's pop that in. It's of course not accessible yet, but we'll just open it because why not? And then right next to it, we'll put some of these tables so people can sit down for a bit. Along with the occasional trash can. Here you go. Nice. And maybe to add a splash of color in here as well, we can put in a coconut palm. Is that nice or is it a bit distracting? I feel like that's not a great place. Maybe here instead? And I've also seen these pirate canopies, which I think could look really nice for the tables here. To create the absolute bare minimum of shade. Wow, that is actually nice. I do like that. And to be fair, this part could also use some windows. I hadn't really worked on that at all, but I think maybe just the same ones we used here. And we can start maybe at this spot, shove them in a little bit, and then making sure that the color of the rock matches the wall. Now, isn't that nice? That is nice. Even the smaller sizes over here. This is starting to look so good. Also, I can't believe I forgot this, but we also need these bad boys up here. All the final pieces of the puzzle, guys. And I mean, guys. Yep. By the way, I also had this crazy idea for this part, where this hole could be like a hole that's been blasted through with a cannonball. Add a bunch of smoke and stuff. I think that's the last thing I'm gonna do today because this has taken quite a while. Although really, I'm not sure because it depends on how fast this goes. But first, time for lunch.
Eventually.
I did just find something out. Isn't this way nicer than that for a pirate area? This is really nice, isn't it? I really like that. It's not gonna connect nicely to this because that's probably gonna look... Oh, that's fine actually. Dude, I don't know. I really like this. It's a bit more random. It's a bit more rough. I think I'll just stick with this for now. We can always change it back if we want to. But somehow I quite like this vibe here. Makes it look more tropical too. I like it. Anyway, I don't know how it happened, but somehow accidentally I made this off screen. There is now a little path that goes into this building, which is actually underneath this part of the cube. So it's very space efficient, if I do say so myself. And then here you can walk through this arch and you end up at the back. So that's fun, I guess. All of that is to decorate later. First, let's do what I set out to do. This. Look, I think we can make these bricks look similar to the market bricks. Just have to make them about the same size. And of course, the same color. Look, and then just like this, we can sort of add a broken wall segment, and then using some smoke, we can hopefully make it look like it just happened. Dude, this is actually sick. I love this. Okay, yes, good start. If this was a modern building, I could have done this with like rebar sticking out, but it's not very accurate. However, what could of course be accurate is the same thing except wood. Here you go. That has pretty much the same type of effect. Dude. This is crazy. And then there's still plenty of people that say you can't do actual creative stuff in Planet Coaster like you can do in Theme Park Tycoon 2. I beg to differ, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, sure, you can do a little bit less. You're a bit more restricted, but still, I don't think it's any less good in general. And I'm about to make this even better because look, isn't this just beautiful? This is genuinely perfect for this. Like, I could not have said it. This is... Look at that. Using these cracks, we can kind of enhance the cracks already there. Here you go. Dude. Oh, if this doesn't look convincing, I honestly don't know what does. It still needs smoke. Only question is, what type of smoke? Because we can have just ongoing smoke, like consistent, that just kind of keeps going up. Or we can have puffy smoke that every now and again just puffs out a little bit of smoke. I'm not sure. I think we should just add a few of them around this little edge and see what happens. That is... Wouldn't it be better to add a big one and just have it shoved in a bit further? So you get a more general... Yes. Oh, that is actually looking really good. Dude, holy shit. That actually looks incredible. Especially when one of these cars comes out like that. Dude, I love this. I love this. There is one thing I am noticing though, and I think we need some wooden scaffolding for this part of the track. I don't want to do generic supports on the whole thing. That seems a bit too basic. So allow me to quickly check out what this would look like, because it is, again, wood. I feel like we've done quite a lot of this, but it kind of depends how it intertwines with this building here. So this can actually stop right there. And once again, I have a pretty wild idea here. Let me try something. I have a feeling that I may be taking this too far, but there's only one way to find out. I always say that, but it's true. I just have to try it and see what happens, because I'll never know otherwise. I think I've gone a bit too far to go back now. Haven't I? Like, this isn't really something you can come back from. But we could also add a little bit of scenery to it to make it less sterile. And, like, for example, a ladder. It does look pretty sweet, actually. I wanted to finish this tower today, but this has, like, I have to stop. I have to stop at some point. Besides, this building is still far from finished. The entire restaurant still needs to be done. This side is pretty much done. The back side is completely bare as well. So it's not like we stopped in the middle. Well, we did stop in the middle, that's the point. But yes, I am super, super happy with the progress today. This is looking so much better than I thought it was going to look. I just love all this wooden stuff. It's just... I don't know why. I just love it. This also turned out absolutely sick. And of course the coaster itself I'm quite happy with. So yes, in general this area is really taking shape. Like, this is some serious stuff right here. So yes, I can't wait to continue this. Next time is going to be Indiana Jones again, so keep on the lookout for that. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell not to miss a single future video, and then I hope I'll see you in the next one.